Hello, students. This is Dr. TM, and it's SEL Story Time. That stands for Social Emotional Learning. Are you ready for our story today? Here we go. Today's story is Positive Ninja. This is a very cool story because it's going to teach us about having positive thoughts to replace any negative thoughts we might have. So listen carefully. There are four things we're going to learn in today's story. Number one, when we think positively, which means looking for the bright side of things, then we are being optimistic. Have you ever heard that word before? Optimistic? It means looking for the bright side of things, seeing things from a positive light. Number two, when we think negatively, that means focusing on what is wrong in a situation, then we're being pessimistic. So the opposite of optimistic is pessimistic. Number three, people who are optimistic are happier most of the time. Now, don't get me wrong, we all have times when we're feeling down, but if you have an optimistic attitude, then you're going to generally be a happier person most of the time. And four, this is the best news of all, we can practice being optimistic. So even if you have a tendency to be a little bit pessimistic, like focusing on the negative things, you can practice being optimistic and become a happier person overall. Okay, let's get started with our story. It starts out with an expression that you might have heard of before. The expression is, do you think this glass is half full or half empty? Let's think about that. So, a person who tends to look at the positive side of things would say, that glass is half full. And a person who tends to look at the negative side of things, what's wrong with the situation, would be more likely to say, that glass is half empty. Now, both of the people are right because it can be considered half full and it can be considered half empty. But if you look at it from a positive point of view, then you're practicing optimism. So that's what we're going to try to do in this story. Okay, and here's the story. Positive Ninja radiated positivity, so much so that it amazed her friends. When Positive Ninja accidentally stepped in rain puddles, she would simply say, I'm so grateful we got rain to water my backyard plants. See that? She's not focusing on the fact that she's stepping in rain puddles and maybe getting herself all wet and uncomfortable. Instead, she's focusing on the positive. The day she fell down the stairs, she remarked, well, that's one way to go down fast. Now, let me say that if you fall down and you get hurt, you need to get help. But in this situation, she didn't get hurt, so it was okay. And she looked at it from a positive perspective instead of getting all bummed out about it. If her pencil broke while she was drawing, she would exclaim, guess that pencil needed a break. Time for a new one. Get it? That was like funny. And the point here is that don't get yourself all worked up about your pencil breaking or something like that happening. It's just something that happens and you can overlook it and move on and be happy. Yes, Positive Ninja was absolutely positive and happy, but that was not always the case for Positive Ninja. No, once upon a time, she really could be quite negative. And what's the word we learned about that means being negative? Right, pessimistic. At a soccer game, she would scream, this is impossible. Has that ever happened to you? when you tried something maybe new or really hard, and you get really frustrated and you think, oh no, this is impossible. It happens to all of us. During piano practice, she would shout, I'm no good at this. Ugh, sometimes it can be really hard and really frustrating. While doing homework, she would say, I can't do this. Now, think about it. We know that she's frustrated. She was frustrated with soccer. She was frustrated with piano. Now she's frustrated with homework. But does it help that she thinks of the response in a really negative way? Does that help the situation? No, it makes it worse. So we're going to learn an important strategy. The book, the story, has a strategy that we're going to learn about calming ourselves down so that we can replace that negative thought with a positive thought. This is how the strategy works. First, you got to catch that negative thought. Try to catch it even before it comes out. If it comes out, if it gets slipped out, okay, no problem. But if you can catch it even before it comes out, that's even better. It just takes practice. Then you want to breathe in and out to relax. You want to calm down because in order to have a positive thought, you got to be calm enough to have the positive thought. And finally, you replace the negative thought with the positive thought. Now you might be thinking, how do I know what positive thought to use? We're going to practice later on and you'll see. It just takes practice. Okay, back to the story. Until one day her friend, Kind Ninja, suggested that she try a fun way to change her thinking. Do you want me to show you? Okay, here he goes. He's going to show her. First, what you do is you catch your negative thought. First step. Next, you blow it in a balloon. Do you remember I said you have to use your breathing technique to calm down? That's what he's doing right here. He catches the negative thought, so that's kind of like breathing in, and then you blow into a balloon. That's the breathing. Take a deep breath in, and then let out. Catch the negative thought in, and then let out as if you're blowing into a balloon. And then pretend to let the balloon go. Now this isn't a real balloon, this is just a pretend balloon, but you catch that negative thought and you breathe it into the balloon and then you let the balloon go. So you're letting go of your negative thoughts. Now you have room, oops, sorry. Now you have room for your positive thoughts, like, and here are the replacement thoughts. I can be good at this as long as I keep trying. Then Positive Ninja says, I don't know if I can do this. Right? She needs practice, right? So Positive Ninja tried it. She caught her negative thoughts and blew them into a balloon. Then she let the balloon go. And do you know what happened next? It worked. From that day on, she felt a lot less negative and a whole lot happier. I can do anything, she said. Using this balloon strategy could be your secret weapon against negative thoughts. Okay, now remember we said it takes practice, right? So let's practice a little bit. If you have a negative thought like, I'm no good at math, and it could be any subject or anything that you try to do and it's hard for you, so you could say, I'm no good at reading, or I'm no good at soccer, or I'm no good at basketball. But instead of saying that to yourself or saying it out loud, you want to catch yourself and then blow that thought into a balloon, pretend balloon, and then let out the balloon, let the balloon go, and you can say, I will get it with practice. See, because everything takes practice. We can get it once when we practice it. If you say, it's raining, so it will be a horrible day, that's a very pessimistic thought, right? And we don't want to have those kind of thoughts because we want to be a happier person generally. Instead, you can think and say, I can still have fun when it rains, right? You just have to be creative and do something else. So if you were planning on going outside and doing something and you're not able to because it's raining, then you think of something fun to do on the inside and remind yourself it's not going to rain forever, so I'll be able to do that other thing later on. Number 3, I'm never going to get the toy I want. Suppose you really want something and your mom and dad or your guardian says, you have to wait. We can't get it right now. Well, that you don't have, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. You can just say to yourself, I can play with something else and still have fun. You can wait. It's called delaying gratification, which is very, very fancy way of saying being patient and letting yourself take time before you get something. Even if you really, really want it, sometimes you have to wait for the good stuff. And the last one, I'm not popular. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're going to have friendship problems. But you know what? You can say to yourself, having one good friend is better than having a bunch who aren't nice. And if you're having some trouble with your friend, you can say to yourself, I can always talk it out with my friend, or I can go to an adult and ask for help in working it out with my friend. Because the adults in your life will be here for you. It can be people at home as well as people at school. So that's our lesson, and I want you to practice being optimistic. So you're practicing replacing those negative thoughts with positive thoughts so that you can be a generally happier person. Thanks so much for sharing this story with me. Goodbye.